Okay, welcome everyone. Just gonna let everyone in. Give it a few minutes. I'm Elizabeth, for all of you out there. Just saying hi. And if you may recognize me, the whole team is here as well. So just gonna wait. Let me see, what time is it? 5:02. Okay, well, you know what? Let's start. 5:02. Because it is 11 p.m. in South Africa right now. So just want to thank everyone in South Africa. So let me start off by thanking everyone for joining us today. I'm Elizabeth. I'm the owner of Extraordinary Journeys. I'm here tonight with Luvo. Hi, Luvo. Can you wave your hand for everyone to see Luvo? He's the head sommelier of the One and Only, and he'll be leading the wine tasting tonight. Before we get started, I just want to go over some basic guidelines. If everyone can mute themselves.
How do we get him bigger?
Yeah. Alicia, can you, we're going to try to have everyone on mute except for myself and Luvo, just so we can all hear well. And maybe even turn off some of the cameras, just because the internet can be a little spotty sometimes. Okay. And if you have any questions, feel free to just write them in the little chat box. We'll have a Q&A at the end. But if you have questions as they come along, we'll try to find a good time to read them out. We have Alicia here. Alicia, can you wave your hand? Alicia here will be the co-host, and she'll be kind of reading the questions. If anything comes up, she'll be trying to find the best way to bring them into the conversation. So as I said earlier, I'm the owner of Extraordinary Journeys and the founder. My co-founder is here, Marsha Gordon, as well. I'm hoping most of you tonight, I think a lot of you have traveled with us before. So this is a very kind of relaxed evening. We just want to celebrate another year. Kind of an awkward time. We didn't think it was going to be this end of a year, but we're here, we're excited. And I just want to remind you a little bit of who Extraordinary Journeys is. We're an award-winning, independently owned luxury adventure travel company. And we have a lot of heart. What makes us really unique is our team. You can see the whole team here. I mean, it's a team of level-headed, a group of travelers. Everyone here is so serious about adventure, the environment, sustainability, the great outdoors. I cannot think of a more caring, curious, group of people. Everyone at Extraordinary Journeys really cares about making people happy and finding a way to have an impact on ourselves, the travelers, and the places where we send people. Altogether, I would say we have probably over 100 years of combined experience in the travel industry. And we're always exploring new parts of Africa and the world. And I'm just gonna give you a quick example. On Wednesday, Gina, she's right here. You can see my little arrow. Lisa actually is in South Africa. Gina and Lisa were in Egypt. They just came back on Wednesday. Rachel right here is in South Africa as we speak. She is in the Timbavati exploring with her mother, who is going on safari for the first time. And in 2021 alone, I mean, we've been to Uganda, we went to Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Zambia, Kim went to Colombia. We've even traveled in the United States because we started offering Extraordinary Journeys in the national parks. So we went to Jackson Hole, we went to Colorado. Marsha, my co-founder, lives in New Mexico. So we've really been exploring new parts in the United States that also are very exciting. And I think because of that firsthand knowledge and our experience, we're really able to create tailor-made trips that match our travelers' interests and their travel style. Because we're always we have our finger on the pulse, we know what's fun, we know what's exciting, and we also have the confidence to try something new. We have the confidence of nudging people to maybe get out of their comfort zone sometimes, because that's the way we think magic happens. And if you haven't experienced it, you're going to be scared and you're going to just put people in what feels safe. And we don't want that. We want people to come back and say, this trip changed us. And we do all this at the same time. We have first-class service. We're always available. We're responsive. There's a 24/7 team. Everyone here is just always available to help. And I think that's really kind of the spirit of everyone that works at Extraordinary Journeys. And another key point for us is not only do we have an extraordinary team, we also have extraordinary partners, and we really look to work with amazing people on the ground. And one of them tonight, one of our key partners, is the One and Only. And I just really want to thank them. When we thought about putting together this event, they were the first ones on board. I was so excited that Luvo, they made themselves available at 11 p.m. tonight in Cape Town for this event. And we are just so thankful for being such amazing partners. So another great thing is One and Only, not only are they great partners and hosting this event tonight, they're also giving away 2 nights for 2 people with a private wine tasting with Luvo for everyone that signed up tonight. So Alicia actually is writing down all the names right now of all the people who are on at the presentation. And then we'll be drawing a name at the end of the presentation. So make sure that you write your name on Zoom so we can see it and we can draw your name at the end. And the One and Only, just so you see, this is the One and Only. Fabulous property that we use in Cape Town. It's in the V&A waterfront between, I mean, it's ideally located between the ocean and Table Mountain. And what we love about the One and Only, it is a larger property, which, you know, we tend to work with smaller boutique hotels, but the One and Only offers that even though they're larger. I mean, what makes them so special is their staff and their team, and everyone knows you, and everyone's willing to help. And I think you always feel so welcome when you step in. And that's something I just love in any property we use. So again, we can see it tonight and we're just so excited. Again, the rooms at the One and Only, just to give you an idea, they're being refurbished. I think they will be done in April 2022. They've been redone, but the views you have, I mean, there you have Table Mountain in the background. You can have private terraces, balconies. Some of them look over the marina. The rooms are huge. They're absolutely gorgeous. And it's just an altogether, it's a fabulous place, whether you are a couple or you're traveling with families. They have a children area. They have a great art collection. I just can't say enough good things about the One and Only. A beautiful pool, a beautiful spa. So if you want to learn more, you know, just reach out to us or ask more questions at the end. We're happy to talk about the One and Only. But tonight, the event tonight really is about the winelands of South Africa. And the winelands are the closest, there's an area about 20 minutes away called Constancia, about 45 minutes is Stellenbosch and Franschhoek, where 2 of our wines are from. And there's another area that is also fantastic called Hermanus, and really great wines. And one of our wines is from there as well. So all the wines tonight, just so you know, they were picked by Luvo just for us tonight. We asked him to pick some of his favorites. We had to import them. So I just want to thank also John Gorman tonight, who helped us bring the wines. He is the wine distributor from that helped us get this all organized. So thank you, John. Yes, just to get us in the mood, I'm going to show you a few pictures, but really the key here, you're going to see Luvo, is I really want to introduce you to the star tonight. And the star tonight is Luvo. Luvo Ntezo, the head sommelier of the One and Only Cape Town. So hi, Luvo. Just a little background. I've had a chance to meet Luvo a few times, and it's always funny because I've never actually, every time I've been in Cape Town, I didn't get to meet you, but I met you a few times in New York for wine events. And what I always love, Luvo, is the way you talk, your passion, the way you speak about wine is so poetic and inspiring. It always gets me. So it was just so exciting that I could share that with other people, and you were willing to do this tonight. I mean, you're just so passionate and warm and charismatic. Few things to know about Luvo is that he won the best young sommelier in South Africa. He was a 4th best young sommelier in the world as well, and he's just very well recognized in the world of wine connoisseurs. So it's quite an honor. Luvo he was raised in a small town in the Eastern Cape, and he has since traveled extensively. He knows a lot of wine, so he can easily compare and share and describe the wines from other parts of the world. But now he is here in Cape Town to tell you about the wines from your area, right? Another fun thing about Luvo, and which I didn't know, and I had to go on Instagram to figure this out and kind of stalk him a little bit, is Luvo is an amazing runner. So if anyone is a runner here, reach out to Luvo. Luvo, when are you going to do the marathon in New York, or have you done it already?
I think the last time I was in the US was in 2019 in November to run the New York Marathon.
There you go. Well, we look forward to having you back. But Luvo, I'm going to let you introduce the evening tonight and kind of take it from there. I'm going to put myself on mute. But yeah, I'm so excited you're here tonight to meet everyone and to share your passion.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. You're making me blush here. You're very appreciate. You're incredibly kind, and greetings, everybody. And thank you very much for joining us this evening. And thank you very much, John, for reaching out to me and managing all the logistics in making sure that a lot of people are able to source these beautiful wines from the Cape. We really appreciate that, particularly in these very trying times. I am live here in the beautiful Cape Town, the city that never sleeps. It's 12 o'clock midnight, but Cape Town's life is still up here. It's we never retire. And it's the wines of South Africa. It's not just a passion. I think it's everybody's life in here. It's our heritage, it's our culture, it's our identity. We are born around the landscapes that makes these beautiful wines with amazing soils. Soils that is a variety of decomposed granite. We've got some clay. I brought in some different compositions of soil structures that I collected around different wine farms. It's one of the things that I like whenever I visit different wine farms. I like the idea of collecting these soil samples to share with guests to give them an overview of what we do. The wine industry here is considered part of the new world, same as in the US. We only started planting vines in 1655, and we made wine for the first time on the 2nd of February, 1659. The reason I'm mentioning the date, 2nd of February, 1659, it's a very unique thing about the Cape wine industry because we are the only part of the entire wine industry that has got the accurate documentation on when we actually started making wine. So we're very precise in that angle. We've got wines that I've selected from for you guys this evening, and I chose wines from different wine regions. And you've mentioned, Elizabeth, that the closest wine region from the One&Only Cape Town is about 20 or 25 minutes. In fact, we are in the wine region. We are in Cape Town. So Cape Town is a newest designated area of wine production since 5 years ago. I was in fact part of that study at the University of Cape Town's Graduate School of Business when we did that. So we're excited to know that we are part of the Wine of Origin South Africa. And in the resort, we list wines from every wine growing region that we've got in South Africa, but also we get wines from all over the world. So you'll be happy, guys, to know that even from US, we've got some amazing Pinot Noirs from Oregon, Santa Barbara, Russian River, your beautiful, big, bold, complex cabs from Napa, we've got them in here. So wines from all over the world are displayed. However, we try to focus on 85% South African wine so that we can share as much as we can. Before I start with the wine tasting, so how we normally do it is it's a very simplistic setup, really, where we've got all the wines nicely chilled, temperatures ready. I like mine to breathe a little bit, so I pre-poured for myself so that they kind of evolve and open quite nicely in my glass. But we can start opening the Grandback Rosé Brut, which is a 2017 that I've got in here. It's a beautiful, beautiful wine. It's made by Peter Ferreira, the same winemaker since the beginning. We actually celebrated 33 wedding anniversary yesterday with his wife. It's the very same brut that was enjoyed for Nelson Mandela's inauguration in 1994, and also for the Nobel Peace Prize Gala dinner in 1993 between him and F.W. de Klerk. So it's part of the national heritage in South Africa. So one of the questions people ask is, what is the easiest way to open a sparkling wine or champagne? It's all about really how it works for you and how comfortable you are. But for me, I prefer to hold it in a way that it's not going to break. The temperature is nicely chilled so that it doesn't explode in my hand. I don't shake it around, so that I turn and I look at the part where I can just take the foil off. Nice, clean, and easy. It comes off like that. And I always train my team, as soon as you take the foil off, make sure the label is always facing the guest. And then we take the string, we turn it around about 5.5 times. I've done the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then that's the last half. I never take my thumb off. It's a safety issue, where in England says 1 in about 8 loses an eye through opening a bottle of Prosecco. So I already am using glasses, so I need to protect my eyes as much as I can. So when I open, I'm holding the top firmly, but also nicely, and you try to open it very gently and easy. There we go. Clean like that. And then you pour just about that much, which then allows, I always say never pour less, pour more, but not that much, so that you are able to swirl a little bit so that it breathes. But also as you taste, you can always live and taste other wines. And then when you're done, it constantly improves in your glass. So you may want to go back and taste the very same wine. The beauty about wine is when you go back again, it has completely changed and it's something completely different, and it's constantly improving, and that's the beauty of it. So if you've already poured your first glass, which is this beautiful Method Cup Classique, we don't call it champagne in South Africa, we don't call it Method Champagne Noir either. We call it Method Cup Classique, which is a classic style of producing a sparkling wine using the French method, which is the secondary non-alcoholic fermentation in the bottle. So ours, unlike champagne, spends a minimum of 9 to 12 months on the lees before being disgorged. However, this being a vintage has spent 3 years on the lees before being disgorged. It's a blend of a Chardonnay Pinot Noir, with Pinot Noir being the dominant grape, this maceration with the steam, so that you get that. If you look at the color, that pink isn't very intense, concentrated pink. It's almost salmon pink, nice rustic color. It's beautiful, very gentle maceration. And on the nose, for me, I get this beautiful, nice, almost cranberry, raspberry, strawberry, but also nice biscuity, toasty element. Now that biscuity gingerbread comes from the yeast inside the bottle. And remember, it's been here for more than 3 years. So it's almost like I say, people, when they ask, why do you decant a bottle of wine, or why do you need it to breathe? It's almost like having a beautiful villa on a seaside resort, and you haven't been there for a year. So the first thing you do when you visit that villa is to open the windows and doors so that it opens up quite nicely, which is the same thing that we do with this one, just to give it an opportunity to open up quite beautifully. And then we're going to taste. While I'm smelling, I'm going to check if it follows through on the nose, or is it something completely different on the palate, so we can all taste. It's clean, it's fresh, it's bright, it's elegant, but also I'm picking up a beautiful acidity. Not too explosive, not too aggressive, but lovely acidity that's just nicely settled. Now, a lot of people can often say, but that acidity is a little bit overpowering for me. So what do I do if I get a wine with that much acidity. Now, the ABC of food and wine pairing is easy. If acidity is slightly overwhelming, you neutralize it by something that will soften that acidity. So let's say you take a piece of salmon. Salmon is naturally oily and it's got a very beautiful, subtle, natural salt flavors into it. Now, when you taste one and the other, the salt and oily elements of the fish neutralizes the acidity and it makes it pretty easy. A good example of that is when I was in my youth, I will have a tequila, but before the tequila, I'll take the slice of lemon, but the acidity in the lemon is very aggressive. So I'll have a little bit of salt just to reduce the level of acidity. It's pretty much the same in here. So I use the salt to reduce the acidity, which makes it much more accessible and palatable to taste. And 3 minutes later, it then opens up quite nicely. Now I've tasted this a couple of seconds ago, which you probably may have done already as well. But the more I talk, I can still taste it in my mouth. I haven't tasted it again. What it means then is it's got a nice, longer, lingering finish. So it's not thin, it's not aggressive. It's got a beautiful body that lingers quite nicely. So it's very, very, very beautiful bubbles for me. The quality is really elegant. It's ultra premium. You can tell that this isn't 9 months. This is more 12 months. So it has developed quite beautifully. I love it. And then we're going to move into the next wine, which is the Chardonnay. Now, the sparkling wine, the Method Cut Classique, comes from Robertson Continental Climate. And then this one, the Hamilton Russell Vineyards, comes from a very cool climate region in South Africa, and also known as the most iconic Chardonnay South Africa has ever had. An outstandingly superb, beautiful wine. And I'm happy to also let you guys know that they actually now produce a Hamilton Russell Vineyards Chardonnay in Oregon. And how do we then open a white wine? I advise people, when you cut the foil, you never cut on the top part. I prefer to cut it on the second part of the neck. And then if it's difficult to cut around, I always put the sharp edge of the knife firmly, and then I just twist the bottom. And then it makes it easy. Once I'm done that, all I do then is just cleanly take the capsule off. There we go. It's nice, clean, off, and then again, opening it. I never say these things are easy, but with practice, it becomes seamless. And then the Chardonnay.
I'm just laughing. You make it look so easy.
Thank you very much. The Chardonnay is almost Burgundian Chablis style with a beautiful touch of the New World. What I mean by that is when you nose it, the fruit isn't overripe. It's not into your face. It's a nicely elegant, subtle fruit that's inside. Beautiful lemon cream that's inside. Almost beautiful citrus that's not too overpowering. There is wood, but wood isn't smoky. You still get that typical varietal characteristics of the Chardonnay, nicely rounded at the same time. And then we're going to taste it. Now it's got a beautiful acidity that's nicely balanced with almost mineral rock salt character. And you can tell this is a very, very cool climate terroir. Nothing overripe, low alcohol, beautiful balance with wood, and it's just an elegant style. If I am drinking a New World Chardonnay, I'm expecting these explosive, complex, overripe, flavors into my face and very high alcohol content and sometimes very chalky oak. But this is almost something that comes out of Burgundy, almost Côte d'Or. It's just a very, very, very beautiful style of well-made Chardonnay from cool climate and nicely balanced with Burgundian oak. So they use French oak in this estate. And just by tasting it, it gives me an opportunity to project the lifespan. This in a bottle can develop so beautifully, even for the next 5 to 10 years. It's not tired, it's not giving me signs of almost decline. It'll continue to improve from where we are. And if you want to pair this, we always say food and wine pairing. There's no orthodox path that's set on wood. It's always about personal appeal and what preference you prefer. I like my Chardonnay with seafood, almost creamy seafood pasta, even risotto, something with a little bit of weight, nothing thin. So what I always avoid is to add in my dish what I already have in here. So I've got nice acidity already here. So I wouldn't have a dish that's gonna throw in more acidity. Otherwise, I'm gonna have acidity all over the place. So that's what I normally do. And I avoid anything where it's just gonna overpower the wine. So if I use anything chili lasts longer in my mouth than the wine. Therefore, it means it will overpower the wine, right? But I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna come back to it a little bit later on just to see if it has improved. And we're going to move to the Pinotage. I'm going to spend a bit more time on this one because I really genuinely love the man who makes this wine. He's one of the most remarkable winemakers South Africa has ever had. His name is Beeslar. He's the only winemaker in South Africa to have been voted the best winemaker in the world. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And he's been a winemaker of the year in South Africa for a number of years. He's a cellar master and winemaker at Canon Cop Wine Estate, a wine estate that 2 years ago, that whole sour Bordeaux style blend became the iconic wine that received 100 points in South Africa by Neil Martin, who is a US wine master. And he's responsible for tasting the South African edition of those wines. And he's a very, very, very good friend of the one and only. And while I mentioned that friend part, he's all one and only guests. Whenever they stay here and they visit wine farms that aren't open to public, they get exclusive private access to meet the owners and winemakers and do vertical masterclass tasting experiences in those wine farms. So that's one of the curated experiences that we do in the resort. Now, this comes from Stellenbosch, which is about 45 minutes drive from here, moderately driving, of course. And Pinotage is an indigenous grape variety that we've got in the country. It's a public sweetheart in here. I love it so much. It's part of the culture in South Africa. If you look at the color of the wine in your glasses, you will see that it is dark plum, but you also see some purple edges around your rim. Now, that's the sign that we are tasting a wine that's very much in its youth. It's a young wine, but also it's a relatively thick-skinned grape variety, so it will give quite a bit of color. On the nose, it is known for giving you that almost dried, candied banana leaf character. And we've got something in South Africa called rooibos. It kind of gives you that rooibos character. And it's more your red sour cherries than your black berries. Dark chocolate espresso coffee bean. Very, very beautiful wine. Now, as you taste the wine, you will pick up that it's got this beautiful, soft, but dry, almost cotton wool tannins around your mouth. Now, the beauty about those tannins is that you will then be able to get a projected idea on how long you can keep this wine. So those tannins, the longer you keep the wines, the more they soften. And I would easily sell at this for about 10 years. But I'd like to tell all of you, because I'm desperate for all of you to drink as much of South African wines as you can. I think the wine has aged so beautiful from a commute from Stellenbosch all the way to US. So if you've got 12 bottles, you've got one a month to clean them out so that we get more orders from you guys. And so these are the beautiful wines that I wanted to share with you from these beautiful landscapes that we've got in the Cape. And also what we do in the studio. There's a variety of things that we do within the studio. And earlier, as we were doing the trial run and calls just to prepare for this, someone mentioned the video looks very good, Luvo, but do you mind to remove the mop on the side? It's actually not the mop. So this is part of what we use in the studio for blending experiences. So our guests get an opportunity to come in here and they can sit down and do a blending experience with me. So you get to make your own wine. And I've done some blending here. We've got some lab tubes. I thought I will show you how it's done. It's a partnership we've got with a boutique family-owned wine estate in Wellington called Misha. And I've got some of their wines in here in the resort. It's the one and only experience where not even the estate does. So only us at the One and Only can do this. So I've done the blending. It's a 40% Cabernet Sauvignon, 35% Merlot, 12% Cabernet Franc, and 5% Petit Verdot. And it's a young blend. This is the last part of the blend that I'm doing. And there we go. So this is how we actually do it. Right here. And anybody who feels they would like to ask questions, feel free.
Luvo, we do have a question about the Pinotage.
Yeah.
That was me who thought that was a mop earlier. Oops. It's from Kelly, and she said, "Is it fair to best compare Pinotage to Pinot Noir, and is Pinotage exclusive to South Africa?"
That's a very beautiful question. So yes, there is a link between Pinotage and Pinot Noir. Pinotage is actually crossed between Cinsault and Pinot Noir. However, way back in the 20s, when we started with Professor Abraham Perel, we had confused the DNA of the Cinsault with that of the Hermitage, hence the name Pinotage, which comes from Pinot, Pinot Noir, Tage from Hermitage, which is actually Cinsault as years improved. When it's younger, you don't taste much of the Pinot Noir characteristics, but the more it develops, the more you get that farmyard, that forest floor, that almost Burgundian character that comes up quite nicely. So there is a link. It is not exclusive to South Africa. It's a great varietal, but we're happy to know that there are some plantings in the US, there are some plantings in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And let's proceed then with this blend over here, which I put on my beautiful machine right here. And then I put my cork inside. And then I go like that. Oops. Voila. I've got a blend, I've got a label, and guests can produce as much of these as they can. You can make 1 bottle, 6 bottles. If you prefer to make a couple of cases and you would like us to facilitate sending this wine wherever you are in the world, we take care of that as well. And for those that prefer to learn, how do you get to taste wine? How do you get to pick up all these things, because not everybody is able to pick up the black currants, the cassis, this and this. Then I've got this beautiful thing. I love the One and Only. All my dream gadgets, whenever I want them, they buy them for me. I've got Unopened, which literally means the nose of wine. And what it does is it gives you different senses that people pick up from wine, and you can pick up any of those. You smell them, and I will be there to help and guide the guest. And it also explains what each smell means and from what grape varietals or type of wines you can get to pick up all those beautiful smells in there. Do we have more questions?
Yes, we have a few more. We have one from Marie and Xavier. It says, can you please talk a little bit more about wine tourism in South Africa?
Wine?
Wine tourism.
Oh, wine tourism. Now, wine tourism in South Africa, and I'm speaking on a point of having traveled different parts of the world, tasting from all these wine estates. I'm talking Bordeaux, Germany, Italy, and so forth. I'm not saying it as a South African, but we've got the most hospitable, open wine industry I have ever had the pleasure to experience in the world. Now, it gives you an opportunity where wine farms, if you visit Franschhoek, it's not just the wine region, it's the culinary capital of South Africa, where a majority of these great wine farms will have food and wine pairing, so people will have an opportunity to try food as well. Accommodation, you go to Stellenbosch, Franschhoek, Constantia, Hermanus, everywhere. But also we're surrounded by the beautiful fynbos. Now, fynbos is a lovely fauna and flora that grows uniquely in abundance around the Cape coastline. Quite aromatic and unique and medicinal and herbaceous, very beautiful. But also the wine tourism is unique in the sense that when you go and do wine tasting through the resort, you get an opportunity to meet the owners, to meet the winemakers. We do very unique experiences where between the last week of January and the first week of April, we do a vine to wine. Now, our guests get to visit a wine farm in the middle of harvest. They get to pick up the grapes and see the entire production of wine from grape to wine. So they pick up the grapes, then they go to the cellar, they see the destemming, the crushing, the fermentation, the punch down, the rolling of the barrels, how the champagne or method classique is degorged and everything. But also when they're done, the same grapes they harvested on that day, we get to crush them, make a juice, bring it back into the resort so that we can make them a beautiful cocktail that's rewarding at the end of the day. It's part of many curated, unique experiences that we do around the resort. Stellenbosch is known as the Kingdom of Chardonnay Sauvignon, and a lot of our guests, particularly from the US that comes here, they are so much in love with Cab because in Napa you're spoiled with these beautiful, bold, complex, amazing Napa cabs that you make, and they want to try Cabernet Sauvignons in South Africa, where we can do 5 to 6 wine estates in one day, just one after the other, where the focus is on Cabernet Sauvignons within Stellenbosch, tasting different clones and blending styles and barrels and bodies and different things, how the Chardonnay, so you can get a Chardonnay that's made more medium bodied to aggressive, big, bold, full bodied style, all within the same region. So there's a lot in wine tourism that happens here. There's just the options. 25 minutes is not enough to talk about all of them.
And I will, at the end, I have a few pictures and examples of other things you can also do in the wine lens, which is, as you explain, tasting the wine and going to the small wineries, visiting old towns, 17th century Huguenot towns, French you know, well, Huguenot would be French, but I'm kind of repeating myself. But just different, a lot of different little towns in the area and all the activities. But you explained this so beautifully. So just continue talking, Luvo. We all just want to listen to you longer.
We also had another question, actually 2 questions about the soil for Chardonnay. If you can talk a little bit about that.
All right, so Chardonnay, in fact, to give you an idea of soil composition, I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to put this over here. I think we can see it. So the soil structures in the Cape will be something a bit similar to this. A few years ago, some of you may remember the Cape, we were talking about the drought and its effect into the wine industry and so forth. What the drought did was almost a very costly blessing in disguise, in a way. The vine loves the word stress. Stress and little water. That's where you get a smaller, concentrated, full-flavored berry. So the year of the drought was actually the year where South Africa was able to produce some of the greatest wines we have ever made since 1997. 1997, before that would have been 1989. 89 would have been 83, whereas Bordeaux was 1982. Not that we've got bad years. The beauty here is we're consistently blessed with amazing years. So we've got Table Mountain sandstone, we've got decomposed granites, we've got clay, we've got Tukulu soils, and all these soils are very dry, harsh soils that looks combined together, almost a trilogy that looks like this, where nothing would really grow. And wine loves these harsh conditions. If you look at the wine capitals of the world, in fact, where wine started being made, you would look at countries like Georgia in Eastern Europe, you would look at Mesopotamia, that entire Gulf Stream, you would look at areas like Morocco and Egypt, even Napa, known as the desert. The soils there are not really ideal for agriculture, which is the same in the Cape, but it's more ideal for viticulture, which is the concept of growing grapes for the production of wine, which, I mean, look at all these lovely slates in here. So water stays right in the bottom where their roots are able to dig much deeper to get the water, to distribute them evenly. And it then makes you end up with a beautiful small berry. So not a lot of water is required for the production of wine. And I mean, we've got the best soils ever here. Even those chalky clay soils that you find when we talk about Burgundy, particularly with Chardonnay, you get these amazing clay soils that you get a lot of in Côte d'Or, Côte de Beaune, Nuits Saint-Georges, Puligny, Morachet. Very much similar soils we've got in the Cape. So we're blessed with soils. And you guys may have noticed that as I'm tasting the wines, I'm going backwards and forwards. The reason for that is each wine constantly improves and evolves in the glass, and I'm just mesmerized by the beauty. So feel free to do the same.
Okay, and we have
more questions.
Yeah, we have a couple more. We had a question about what's the best way to preserve an unopened bottle of wine to serve again. I think they mean open.
That question was asked. My wife had asked me that question before, and then she quickly answered herself. And the best preservation method in my household is she retires it prematurely, so it never survives the night. But I think the best thing for wine is just we've got these little caps that takes the oxygen out, and we put it inside and you put it in the fridge. We don't always have those or those swanky machines. the opportunity that the wine breeds, even for 2 days, can be great for your wine, that sometimes your wine will taste better on the 3rd day than it did the first night that you tasted it. So there's nothing wrong to allow it to just stay in the fridge for 2 or 3 nights. But if you pick up that it's starting to give you nuances of almost sherry-like if it is white, or port-like if it is red, then it's a sign that it needs to retire to the kitchen and be transformed into a jus. So it will never be wasted. One way or another, there will always be use for it.
And then we had one other question about, could you talk about the quality of South African ports and maybe recommend some?
Of course. Now, there are regions in South Africa that makes different styles of wines that are unique, but there is an area called Calitzdorp in South Africa. It's about maybe 3 hours drive from here. I've got my colleagues here. If 3 hours is maybe off and I drive to it, Calitzdorp is about 3 hours, maybe 3.5. Now that area is the best area for port in South Africa. That's where we grow varietals like Tinta Roriz, Tinta Barroca, Touriga Nacional, and we make them in a traditional Portuguese style. Now, port is fortified wine, where you make this beautiful, big, bold, lovely wine, and you fortify it with brandy so that the lifespan of it can live for longer. But in South Africa, we don't use the word port. It's a protected term. So we call it either a Cape Vintage or a Cape Tawny, but the style is very much the same. And the producers, top producers for ports in South Africa will be Boerplaas, which is family owned. There is De Krans, also very, very beautiful. But there's another region in Paardeberg, or in the West Coast, and the wine estates over there. There's quite a few. There's Kluvenberg, there's Alice Verloren, that makes really amazing port style wines in the Cape. So we are spoiled in abundance with different options in here.
Okay, and then we have a question from Allison that says, how did your wine journey begin and what inspired you to become a sommelier?
Wow, that's I'm gonna try to answer it without saying it's very easy to fall in love with a drink when you're a teenager, right? But I fell in love with wine when I started working in a wine estate in Steenberg. I think I was about 19. It is legal in South Africa to work when you're 19. But the etiquette, the culture, the love that was given to me was so contagious that I never looked back. And I continuously over the years was blessed with the support team that just never set me up for failure. They constantly set me up to achieve more and more, where my passion is celebrated, that what I do to those outside of this thinks of this as a job, but this is my life. This is my passion. This is what I wake up every day to aspire to do. So I don't consider myself having a job, but they still pay me to taste wine at work, which is something I just genuinely enjoy. Even right here, as I'm doing this, I am surrounded with my team that makes sure that this is a success, and it just makes my job much more seamless and easy. And it's amazing to work with a team that celebrates your success and that continuously go out of their way to make sure that you succeed in what you do. So, yeah.
That's amazing, Luvo. And again, I think we've all had a few drinks now, so we're probably all slurring our words, but this was just really, I mean, really inspiring, and the wines that you picked are truly amazing. Just, I want to just, if anyone is interested, I'm thanking you, the one and only, and also John Gorman from Southern Wines, who helped us bring the wines to the United States. John and Libby, I don't know if you're here. I think I just wave if you are, but they have the largest South African wine collection in the United States. So if you do want these wines and you do love them, feel free, we'll send you the link as well later. I mean, obviously come to South Africa, number one, go with Luvo, but also order the wine, because I have to say this Pinotage is just blowing my mind right now. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So this is absolutely fantastic. So we're gonna be, if there are any last questions, I think we covered them all. Otherwise, we wrote down everyone's names. We are gonna be drawing names quickly. Jill, we will make sure your name is there. JP, I know you've been to some of those wineries, so I think Alicia, write down all those names. While we're writing them down, I'm going to share quickly, kind of answering the question about wine tourism. As we mentioned, you know, the One and Only is a great place. I mean, you really can stay in Cape Town. You can stay 4 nights in Cape Town, and it's 45 minutes away. It's a day trip. It's so easy. So you can stay in Cape Town, go out to the wineries, come back, enjoy, you know, have a drink, have Luvo explain the wines, have a wine tasting with Luvo. So much we can do from there. But let me just show just a few images, because I do think it is fun for those of you who have never been to South Africa. I just want to show you, I think it's one of the most beautiful wine regions in the world. I mean, I grew up in France. I've been to Napa, I've been to Chile, I've been to Argentina, but there is something every time I come to South Africa, those mountains, I just don't see them anywhere else. I mean, they just get me. So this is at de Graaf, which is another beautiful wine estate. Beautiful sculptures, you can see the views there from there. Those are the rooms. These would be, for example, a property that you could stay with. You could stay at the One and Only, and then maybe a few nights at de beautiful sculptures, art. You know, art is a big part of the wine region as well. This is La Résidence, another very gorgeous property, very relaxing and beautiful. If you want something more playful, we really enjoy Babylon Storen. They have actually a lot of farm to table experiences, and they even you can see here, each room has their own kitchen. So you can go pick your food, your vegetables, and cook in your room. But just really beautiful, great for families. The Winelands is not just about wine. It's a very relaxing place. La Clé would be a fantastic option to relax, where you'd have your own swimming pool, your own villas. I mean, look at those views. I mean, how do you not? And then in terms of activities, you know, horseback riding, biking, golf, if you're into golf, picnics. The tram is really fun. It kind of stops. There are a lot of different routes this tram goes on. So you can just stop at different wineries along the way if you don't, you know, want to drive, or if you don't have a guide that day. Art is big. The Dylan Lewis, I mean, the art. I mean, this sculpture garden, again, just fantastic. The Motor Museum, as Luvo talked about earlier, all the food options. I mean, just so many top restaurants. The towns are just adorable, and it's just so pretty. And of course, the wine tasting is always. And then the other region, which is the wine that I know was mentioned earlier, which is the Hamilton Russell. Is that right? I hope I'm picking the correct one.
Yeah.
This is a really beautiful area. This is 3 hours away south of Cape Town. This is called, this is kind of around Hermanus. This is a property we like a lot called Groupbos. And about 30 minutes away, you can go to that whole wine region out there, which is, again, just to show you how beautiful the horseback riding, hiking, whale watching at certain times of year. They even have a flower safari. There are times with the fine boats. I mean, they have the biggest, I think the most diverse fine boats in the world is out here. And if you're not into wine and port, they also have great gin, which I got to experience as well. So just to give you a taste and just a feel like it's of the whole experience. And in terms of the safari, it's so easily, you are 2 hours from Kruger, you are 2 hours from Mon in Botswana. So just so many ways to make this part of the journey. Sometimes if you go to Botswana, you can stop in this area, continue on to Kruger. So again, we tailor every trip, we custom make it, talk to us, and we will explain it and kind of find the perfect combination for you. So Alicia, were you able to write down all those names?
Yes, I'm just getting a couple final last names in here. Give me one
Should
second.
we, I'm trying to think of the best way. We have an app, right? Where random.
Yep. It's all entered into the app. I'm just putting in a couple people are just telling me their last names now.
Okay, fantastic. Do we feel comfortable sharing your screen, or do you just want to announce it?
I can share this screen. It might be kind of fun to see it spin.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna let you, when you're ready, share your screen.
Okay, give me just one more second. You can keep, if you have anybody has any more
Yeah, if
questions.
anyone has questions or
Luvo, if you want to talk anything else about the wine activities at One&Only, because someone did earlier ask about things you can do at One&Only Cape Town to do with wine.
That is a good question. Yeah, all the activities around wine that you offer at the One&Only.
Of course. Oh, I was busy enjoying my new gadget in here. So one of the things that we do is we bring winelands into the resort as well. So this little wine studio here plays hosts to winemakers. So I host intimate small dinners of up to 80 guests in here, where winemakers come and present wines that haven't been released to the market yet. And we do these vertical tasting experiences in the studio, and guests get an opportunity to interact with the owners and winemakers in the studio. And we create a beautiful infusion with food, and not taken from the menu, but we create the menu particularly for those wines. And on the journey with that, we do it with the winemaker as well. We also do my favorite, which is comparative wine tasting in the studio. So comparative wine tasting is when we taste Cabernet Sauvignon. So we can taste the Cabernet Sauvignon from Stellenbosch against the Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa, a Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux, and Cabernet Sauvignon from Australia. And that then is to give guests an opportunity to do an around the world analysis of Cabernet Sauvignons, where they pick up that, oh, this is the reason why I prefer Bordeaux. It's this way. When they say maybe Napa is like this is what I should expect from Napa. South African style is this way. We do that on all varietals, but also we, apart from winemaker dinners and wine blending experiences, is the sensory evaluations and blind tastings. And I play with Riedel glassware. I've got these beautiful black Riedel glasses that I love over here, where no one knows what is inside. And we work on sensory evaluation, and we work on how do we pick up these varietal characteristics inside. We host a variety of just unique, personalized experiences. So before we host anything, guests will tell us what they like, and we build it around that.
Okay, well, Alicia, I think we're ready. Are we ready to draw the name? I think we actually got this presentation on an hour on the dot, so let's do this. Da-da-da. I will let you share your screen.
Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah. So I think you press in the middle.
Yes. Okay, hold on, let me just minimize you guys here.
Oh, it's good. It's fine. We only. Paula Franklin. Paula, congratulations.
What?
Yes, you did.
I feel like you should give it to someone else.
Well, your choice, but you know, you're
No, really, I think no. Draw someone else.
okay to
Because
give
you
you.
know, yes,
Okay,
Paula,
I appreciate it, but you know,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
let's
thank
spin
you,
that one
Paula. You.
Paula.
You're- okay, let's do it again.
Okay.
Teddy.
Whoa, hey.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Wow, I never win stuff.
Yay. Merry Christmas.
So, well, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll email you the voucher right after this. And everyone, thank you so much. We are so glad you were able to make it. Luvo, thank you so much. This was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
We can't wait to all be there in person and be there with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And if anyone wants to unmute or say anything, feel free now. It's open.
Thank you so much, Luvo. This was amazing. I think you
Yes.
have a whole slew of South African wine lovers that are going to come visit you now for sure.
Oh my gosh. We can never go to South Africa and not go on a wine tour with you.
I
You
know.
have to-
Oh, it was so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Luvo.
Thank
you, Luvo. Thank you,
Can't
EJ.
wait to come back.
No, absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
thanks everyone for being here. I mean, we
Was wonderful.
Thank you.
good way
Thanks,
to celebrate.
EJ.
And the whole team is here, I think. So the EJ
Thanks.
team, everyone made it. So yeah. Thank
And
you
happy
so much.
holidays, everybody.
And JP, I see you said thank you.